Hey there, I'm Ari with the Tech Buyers Guru, and I'm here with a new product for review. Now, this may be the smallest product I've ever reviewed on the channel. This is Anker's new power delivery charger. Obviously, I've taken it out of the box already. Here it is. It has probably the simplest looking box I've ever seen. Anker could probably do a little bit more with his branding, but frankly, they probably know most of these people. Most people are buying this online, so it doesn't matter what the packaging looks like. So I'll toss that. We don't need that. That doesn't really tell me anything. So here it is. Here's the charger. Pretty compact, kind of modeled after what you might find with a MacBook. This does have PD. The acronym is for power delivery. That's a standard that's part of the USB-C standard. Now you'll see it has two USB ports. And what Anker claims about this particular charger is that it has intelligent power delivery so that it can provide full power to either of these ports, all right? And can also split it between them intelligently. With any new technology, there are standards that are pretty hard to understand and aren't well documented. So one of the things I found as I was researching this particular charger was what type of USB-C cables you needed to get the full charging rate out of it. There's all sorts of different claims out there about what kind of charger, what kind of charging cable you need, what kind of Type-C cable you need. Obviously you need a Type-C on both ends because this doesn't have a USB Type-A receptacle. So you're going to have to buy some new cables. Probably your phone came, if it's a USB-C phone, it came with a USB-C on one side and a USB-A on the other. So you're going to need to buy a cable. So which cable should you buy? Well, I'm going to be putting a few cables to the test to see if it matters in terms of charging rate, but also data rate, right? Because if you want to use these cables for more than just power delivery, you might want to invest in a cable that is also rated to a high speed, for instance, USB Type-C Gen 2. The three cables I have are really marketed at different levels. The first is an Amazon cable. Can it provide the full 60 watts? The next cable I have came with a Samsung external solid-state drive. That is a USB Type-C 3.1 Gen 2. So if Samsung included this cable, they probably thought it provided enough throughput to get Gen 2 speeds out of it. So I'm assuming this is a Gen 2 cable, but can it provide the power delivery? Because there's all sorts of claims that different manufacturers make about what you need to get that full 60 watts or higher out of a charger. The last cable I have is I bought specifically for testing the full capabilities of Type-C. This is a Cable Matters, I think that's the brand. USB 3.2, now they've renamed it 3.2. It was 3.1 or 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C cable. This is rated not only at the maximum throughput, which is 10 megabits per second, but our super speed 10 megabits per second, but also for the up to 100 watts of power delivery. And they claim that there's a chip in here which enables your device and your charger to know that it can handle the power. In other words, there are a lot of claims being made here, and I'm here to figure out, what does all this mean? Can I actually use this charger with any cable, or do I need to use an expensive cable? This is $13. Anker actually is peddling its own cables, which have the same rating, that are $20 each. Now this charger costs between $45 and $60, depending on whether you buy it on sale. If you needed another $20 cable for everything you charged, well, that adds up really quickly, right? So I was skeptical about this, and I wanted to put it to the test. The last thing I want to mention to you about this, again, is the size. Here's an old phone charger I pulled out of my desk. Okay, the Anker is about twice the size, but this old phone charger, which is from an old HTC phone, is rated at 7.5 watts. This is rated at 60. So how is it that a charger that's about, it's maybe a little over twice the size, how did they get it up to 60 watts? The difference is the electronics inside, and specifically something called gallium nitride. That is the technology they're using instead of silicon for the power delivery and the circuitry inside this. That's how they're able to get so much power out of such a small brick. Okay? So this is, again, rated at 60 watts. So that's the big difference, okay? Inside, it's not just a nice clean look and two Type-C cables that make, or outputs that make the difference. It's what's inside that counts. and that's how you get up to 60 watts. Now I've decided to test this the best way I know how, which is to use a watt meter. I am charging my laptop with the Amazon USB Type-C charging cable. I'm drawing about 50 watts from the wall, which tells me I'm not getting a full 60 watts into my battery at this point. Now let's go with my Samsung USB Type-C Gen 2 cable. All right, I'm plugged in with that Samsung cable and I'm still hitting 50 watts of power draw. So factoring in the inefficiency of the power supply in here, it's very, very efficient thanks to gallium nitride, but it's still not 100% efficient. I guess I'm getting about 45 to 47 watts into my laptop at this point. Still, again, this is not providing the full 60 watts that it claims. Let's go with the dedicated charging cable that I purchased that said it had circuitry to enable up to 100 watts of power delivery. All right, I've got the Cable Matters cable up. Actually, this is the actual item on Amazon, and I've got the charger plugged in, and guess how much I'm drawing? 50 watts. So no matter whether or not I use the $3 Amazon cable or the $14 Cable Matters cable, I don't get a full 60 watts out of this. Now note that when I use the computer, it will, now I'm scrolling on the page, you can see it actually does use a little bit more power. All right, I've got my original issue LG charger for my LG Gram laptop. It's pretty bulky, and particularly these cables are really annoying. You know, they're like 6 feet long and they're really thick. It's a lot heavier than the Anker charger, but let's see if it actually puts out more wattage. All right, even with the original issue charger, I'm only getting 50 watts. So this was not a problem with the Anker charger. It's the internal charging circuit of my Gram laptop. It cannot take more than 50 watts, even if the charger can deliver it. So that suggests to me that the Anker charger will charge the battery just as quickly as the original charger. Okay, so that's good news, particularly because it's so much lighter and more compact, and also can be used to charge my phones. Speaking of phones, I now am testing this charging 2 devices at once. On the upper circuit is my laptop, and the bottom circuit is the cable going to the phone that's actually in my hand. Let's take a look at what this stabilizes at. And clearly we're at only 33 watts right now. All right, to show you exactly what's going on here, I'm going to start with my phone not plugged in. So although I've got 2 cables in here, there's only one thing actually connected, which is the laptop. It's charging at 50 watts. Here's the cable that I'm going to attach to my phone. Now remember, again, Anker claims that this charger will put the same overall output even if you have 2 devices plugged in. Let's see what happens when I plug it into this phone. It immediately drops. Let's see what it stabilizes at. Okay, with 2 devices plugged in, this charger is delivering less than 35 watts of power. That's about half of its rated capacity. And it's a big disappointment from my point of view. In other words, when I have my laptop plugged in right here, and my phone plugged in, I have the phone in my hand here, and both are charging, I'm getting half of the rated power of this charger. Not that impressive. Okay, now it's still convenient in the sense that I can charge 2 devices at once and I only need to carry 1 charger with me. But if I'm in a rush and I need to power up my laptop, I'm not going to be able to do that. All right, so that's a major disappointment. All right, I think I've come to some conclusions on both this charger and the various types of cables that you can buy to use with it. First of all, the charger probably does provide a full 60 watts when you have just 1 device plugged in. My particular laptop could only charge at 50 watts from the USB Type-C cable, so that must be a limitation of that particular laptop. Another issue I have with charging laptops is you can actually only charge, at least with my LG Gram, it only charges when the device is on. So laptop actually has to be on or sleeping for it to work. Perhaps other laptops behave differently. That is kind of a drawback if you like to shut down your computer and then leave it charging overnight to get it charged up. The next thing and the most disappointing thing about this was I clearly was not getting my full wattage when I was using both ports. Anker claims that it has intelligent circuitry in here. With 2 devices plugged in, I was getting a maximum of 33 watts of power draw out of this, which means it was probably delivering about 30 watts total to the 2 devices, split 2 ways. So the charging rate just goes, really tanks when you have 2 devices connected and charging. So I'm a little bit disappointed about that. I really bought this because I wanted the ability to charge my phone and my laptop at the same time. But given that the laptop charges at a half rate, when that phone is plugged in, it really disappoints me because that could really extend that charging time. The last thing is not about the Anker charger so much, but about cables. I did test it on my Samsung portable SSD, the T5 here. This is a very fast external solid-state drive. I think it is rated, it's a Gen 2 Type C. And when I did test that, I found that it did not matter which cable I used, whether I used the cable that was included with it, this Amazon cable, which is actually a Gen 1, 3.1, or this Cable Matters cable, which is a Gen 2 3.1. Based on my numbers that I generated, which you can see here, clearly the speed is the same regardless of which cable you use. So if you needed an extension, a longer cable, you could go with the Cable Matters, or you could go with Amazon's branded cables as well. And frankly, these external solid-state drives that are SATA-based cannot reach Gen 2 speeds yet. So what does that all mean in terms of this Anker charger? Overall, I'm a little bit disappointed. Yes, it's small. Yes, it can charge 2 devices at once, but it can't charge them at the full wattage that it claims. I was also a little bit disappointed that it didn't come with any cables, or that Anker wants $20 for each of its cables. Don't buy those. What I found is that you can go ahead and buy Amazon's cables. This is actually the shortest one they sell, but they also sell some longer ones the price doesn't really differ that much based on the length. It's more just the type it is. So this is a 3.1 Gen 1, so that makes it actually cheaper than this Cable Matters 3.1 Gen 2, and that doesn't matter at all for charging. I found that despite what they say about this included circuit, I got the same wattage out of all of my cables. Don't buy Anker's $20 cable. That's way too much for charging. You do not need it. And that's about it. So that's the Anker PD charger. This is their most advanced charger as of today. We're in mid-August right now, 2019. Perhaps Anker will deliver a new power delivery charger in the future that actually does provide more wattage out of both ports simultaneously, but for now I don't believe that this is the charger that Anker claims it to be. With that said, it's still convenient because it's small, relatively lightweight. It's pretty dense, but relatively lightweight, and it can charge two devices at a relatively fast rate of charge simultaneously. So, with that said, I give this 4 out of 5 stars. I'm Ari from the Tech Buyers Guru. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.